This is Tom Fox. I live in the Texas Hill Country. On Friday, July 4th, Kirk County saw the worst flooding it has ever seen. At this point, as I'm recording this podcast, nearly 70 people have been found dead, and there are many, many more people still missing. I'm going to ask you to please consider a donation to the Hill Country Flood Relief Fund. I've listed it in the show notes. I know it's a little bit unusual to make this request, but I can't tell you the tragedy that has unfolded in my home county over the 4th of July weekend. Thank you for your consideration. And now, on to the Daily Compliance News.
The Daily Compliance News for July 11, 2025. The What is a Conflict of Interest edition. We begin with that story from ESPN. So, if you've ever been a member of a labor union and you had your executive president join management as a paid consultant, would you consider that a conflict of interest? Well, it turns out the NFL Players Association executive director, Lloyd Howell Jr., is working as a paid consultant for the Carlyle Group, one of the select group of league-approved private equity firms now seeking minority ownership in NFL franchises. Now, Howell has a checkered history at best from his work in the private sector, but this is just beyond belief that he can work for both labor and management. So I don't know how many of you folks have dealt with labor unions, but labor unions I used to be associated with would not have wanted their executive director to be on the board or working for management. But maybe he looked at it internally and he internally waived the conflict. Good luck with that one. Next up, from the Wall Street Journal. In Austin, there was a new stadium built for basketball, and it turned out that the developer rigged over this arena. And the company called Oak View Group was charged with conspiring with a rival to rig the process for the new arena. And the former CEO, told a rival that it would receive contracts to operate concessions and sell premium seats if it did not compete against his company. Now, I say former CEO, as after an internal investigation led by the board, he left the company, but this individual, one Timothy Lewicki, is fighting the charges from the Department of Justice, saying he did nothing wrong. Well, the company thinks it did something wrong and paid $15 million to resolve the DOJ investigation. So is it a conflict of interest? Well, this isn't a conflict, but this is just straight old fraud and bid rigging. Or perhaps not. Next up, from Reuters, Turkey is detaining hundreds of opponents of the current president Erdogan, claiming corruption. What does that sound like? President of the United States? Perhaps. I'm sure he'll unleash that on his political enemies. And finally, from the BBC, non-disclosure agreements gagging workers are going to be banned in the United Kingdom. So finally, banning of NDAs comes to the UK. Let's hope that the United States can follow with a nationwide ban as well, because the light of day and transparency show all. This past weekend,
we had perhaps the worst tragedy to ever hit my home county in its history over this weekend, and myself and my family are fine, but multiple others who lost loved ones, lost family members, are obviously not fine. So if you can find your way to help with any donation, I would greatly appreciate it. This is Tom Fox. Thank you very much.
The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.